Brought to you by MetaJuice.
Hello, welcome to Blockchain in the Metaverse. I'm your host, Futurist Amelia Kallman. Today, I am joined by Web3 expert and business strategist, Peg Samuel. Having worked in the blockchain and decentralized space since 2017, Peg is an internationally recognized digital pioneer who has been featured on MSNBC, Entrepreneur Magazine, Good Morning New York, and the Wall Street Journal. To share with us more about her career, the Web3 movement, and what it all means to you and me, I'm thrilled to welcome Peg. So welcome, Peg. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
As a futurist, I have a way of explaining Web3 to people, but I'm always curious how other people explain it. So for anyone who's watching who might not be familiar with the term, how would you explain Web3?
I love the term Web3. For me, it encompasses everything that we're working on at MetaJuice and the whole wider ecosphere. Like we've got the world's largest social metaverse, and then we're launching another token, VCore, and we also mint NFTs. And when I think of Web3, that's any of those lanes. So for me, describing it as Web3 instead of any of those things, it describes the tech without the confusion of the current state of tech. You know, what's up with these, what's up with that. So it's like we had Web 1, which I talked about, weather.com. And then it's like we had Web 2, which social media and all that stuff. And now it's just Web 3. So when an everyday person hears Web 3, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, it's tech, it's inevitable. So I love that over, the other things. How would you describe it?
Totally agree. I say kind of like Web 1 is a read-only website. Maybe there's a link, but it's not very interactive. And then from about 2004, we have Web 2, which is when we start to like, share, subscribe, and curate our own selves. It's the birth of social media, but it's also the birth of the data economy, which big tech companies learned that they could monetize our data and sell it. And basically, essentially, that idea of it being centralized in that these big tech companies are curating what we see and what we hear and what we think and how we vote.
Yeah.
And then I usually say Web3 is a reaction against this. Web3 is a concept and it's an idea, and it's about kind of reclaiming that ownership over our data and control over the future of the internet. And the basis of this is blockchain technology. And like how today I might pay you through a bank because the bank takes the risk and does the trusting for us. Now we have a technology that can do that. So we can have more peer-to-peer interactions.
It's really a good point on the more underlying blockchain stuff, that it's like about data and self-custody and, all those things you mentioned. I think sometimes for me, I think of like I got into NFTs and I heard about Bitcoin and I thought, bank the unbanked. And then I got into NFTs and I was also an NYU professor. So I kind of professored or speak about things. And NFTs or even the blockchain and art was for me easier to describe to somebody, even though my aha was like bank the unbanked.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see kind of how it's been going. And then I was a media professor. So this is why also back to that, like saying Web3 over NFT. Like if you read the wrong headline, you're scam, where it's the tech.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the things we kind of are starting to come up against is that idea that when some people hear things like NFTs, they immediately think that's a scam. And I think language is just going to become so much more important. One of the things I talk a lot about is the metaverse. And then we talk about different metaverses. And I know some people will bring me up on the syntax of that, but actually, we need to, it's a language issue. It's how we communicate, and I think more words will come, especially as the technology develops. And it's just kind of also, just kind of underlines where we're at today, that maybe we don't have enough words to describe where it's all going. So as a Web3 marketer and strategist, what does your job entail? And how is it different maybe from traditional marketing and strategy roles?
Yeah, this is a great question. When I first think about that, I think, well, there's some stuff that's the same. Like, so when I got into back in like I was at a women and crypto dinner like in 2017, and I thought, this is so amazing. What do I even bring to this? I really want to work here in this like tech, like, but I don't code. So I realized like I could bring my skill set over, right? So that's like 6 years ago. But to really specifically answer your question, it's really this community first, right? Like you're saying, like the self custody or thinking community first. Even back again to MetaJuice, it's like, okay, how can we serve our community? The community made the platform, and with even all of the startups happening, it's like the avatar projects and all of that. It's like, sure, the art came out or the generative art, but it's really that community first shift. And it's like thinking them as community and like a partner, not as a customer to, sell stuff to. So that's pretty much the shift. And then there's always like platform shifts as, new things come out, meaning like Twitter versus Facebook versus Discord. And, all of those have their spot. And I'm sure more will come out and all of that, and maybe some decentralized ones. And we'll just, as marketers, we'll just see where is our audience? So that's an old marketing framework. And then how do we serve the audience we have?
And that's one of the things I think MetaJuice does really well is you have a community in InView that is interested in this area, but also, the Web3 technologies you're introducing in actually add value and have utility. And it's like those kind of things are just so important to the future of these technologies, where I think as a lot of brands have kind of jumped on a bandwagon and sort of made the mistake of like, oh, we're going to give this because it's the hot new thing. But actually there wasn't a desire for it. There wasn't a use for it. There wasn't a need for it, and that kind of undermines the technology and the bigger picture of where this is all going.
If it's done right, back to the tech, like different chains could help us like have self-custody over like loyalty programs and ticketing and all those things. But if the brand came in the wrong way, then let's say the people revolt, and so it looks bad. And so especially like brand or not brand or startup, anything that feels like a cash grab to the, as to like the like OG ecosystem, then all of a sudden it's not a good look for any particular brand.
And I think we have this kind of idea that there's Web 2 over here and there's Web 3 over here. And it's like, we have to pick between them.
Yeah.
But actually, I think that this is a whole spectrum of vast opportunities in between. And, wonder if you agree with that. And if so, what do you think these opportunities look like?
That's really a good point. And it comes up sometimes when I'm talking to people, like it's a Web 2.5. So it's like we're not quite there.
I like that.
And right. And then it's like we're not quite there, and there's steps along the way. And there's also, like you said about lingo, like we make it confusing for any regular people to use. Eventually the UI will be easier for just an everyday person to kind of onboard, and that will help. And then even like lingo, it's like, okay, like what's this, what's that, what's that? I've done some campaigns even with like large celebrities in the past where we were not able to onboard even, a fraction of their fan base, and not because the fan base doesn't want to come there, but if there's like a MetaMask in between, all of a sudden you're losing so many people. So, and again, the lingo and, all of the other things that come with it. So it's like, I would always say, like, once we get UI and maybe some language for regular people, and maybe some people will know it's an NFT, but maybe they don't even need to, like, do you need to know like HTTP and code to get on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, when we can sort out that user interface and have people, be using Web3 technologies and participating without even realizing that's what they're doing, and I think that's one of the things I think about the metaverse is, with generative AI and what's happening there, very soon we're going to have people participating in the metaverse without even realizing it,